hearing, but before we do that, I need to do our roll call for attendance. Member Allen is not present at the moment. Member Boucher, present. Member Hefnecker. Present. Member Iannucci is not going to be with us tonight. Member Carlich. Present. Member Kelly. Present. Member Alberto. Present. And for our professionals tonight, we have Attorney Cassidy. Present. And Engineer Higgins. Present. And our Building Inspector Cox will not be here. Okay. All right, so we need a motion to open.
The motion to open the meeting,
Public hearing, yep.
the public hearing.
Yep, and a second.
Seconded.
So, Member Kelly, seconded. Yeah, Joe and Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, public hearing's open, and our public hearing tonight is for Choco Cheese at 562 Route 17M, and who is representing for them?
Before we go into the public hearing, could I ask the Terry to read the public notice?
Yes.
That I actually can get to. Do you want me to read it off mine?
I believe I have it.
Okay. What? I have it. Please take notice that the Village Planning Board of the Village of Monroe will hold a public hearing at Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, 10950 on August 27, 2024, at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter as possible on the amended site plan applications of 562 Route 17M LLC for a 53-foot 10-inch by 35-foot 0-inch addition that is to be used for cold storage for the existing first-floor bakery located at 562 Route 17M, Monroe, SBL 220-5-4. A copy of the application is available for review in the Building Planning Department located at 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, 10950 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. by order of the Planning Board of the Village of Monroe. And we have affidavit of publication, yes.
Yes.
And then we have mailing receipts.
Yes. Do you want to see all these things?
I don't, it's just
As
so,
long as you have them.
I have.
thank you.
Okay, is that it for you, Liz?
Yes.
All right, so Mike, just state your name and spell it for us and your position as representative.
Sure. Michael, for the record, Michael Morgante. Is this on? Michael Morgante, project engineer. Last name is spelled Morgante. I'm here representing this application tonight. The application, I'll give a brief overview and you can open up to public comment if anyone's here. It's a pretty straightforward application. We are simply proposing, in addition to the northeast corner of the existing building that's there for the purpose of a bakery to support this business that's in the area. We've run through the zoning bulk table for this particular project. It appears we meet all ZBA setbacks. We have adequate parking. There's existing water and sewer that services the site. It's a pretty straightforward project in its nature. We've added some signage along the front entrance to include the ability for tractor trailers to be noticed that they're not allowed to enter the site. We've got some one-way striping shown on the northeastern portion of the site, which will revise according to the latest memo we got from Mr. Higgins. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward project.
Okay. So just so everyone knows, for public comment, if you want to speak, please come up to the microphone and do we have a pad? Is there anyone here for the public meeting for this that wants to comment before I go through all this? No one? Okay, no one can. So, Liz, if whatever we do at the end, do we need to leave the time open for comment?
Unless there is a need.
Pressing need?
Present need. We've scheduled a public hearing, it's been duly noticed. We can make a motion to close the public hearing, and then we can discuss the application and any changes
Yep.
in our regular meeting. So a motion at this time to close public hearing would be appropriate.
Joe?
Yeah, I think we can close it. Certainly, a couple of the items have been addressed. No tractor trailers allowed on the site. Now, tractor trailer is a 18-wheeler, you call it whatever you want, but is there an accurate name for,
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do that, we're gonna close the public meeting.
Yep.
And then we're gonna take this up in the next order of business. We're gonna open the regular meeting.
fair enough?
So somebody needs to make a motion to close the public meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Member Kelly in second.
I'll second.
Member Allen, I couldn't tell which one he is. Member Allen, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed. We need a motion to go into the regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Member Heffernan and Member Kelly second. All in favor? Hearing's opened. And, okay, back to Choco Cheese. The concern for fire, and they commented, it went out to the fire department.
Went to the fire department.
Yeah, and they commented saying the trucks can get there.
We did receive an email this afternoon from Nick Gordon, the second assistant chief. The proposed addition will not affect our response or apparatus placement. We see no issues with the addition.
We also received GML too from the county. They didn't seem to have any concerns really associated with the project.
No concerns from the county planning?
The only issue that was brought up with the county planning was the planner raised the potential need for a variance. I did confer with building inspector Cox, who by email has indicated, and I will just pull it up real quickly, no area variance is required, and AARB was only triggered by site plan. They have the minimum one side above the 50 feet, and a total combined meets the 80, no variance was required.
And then in the ARB, the stuff that was already put on the siding, is that pre?
That was, so the prior changes to the facade, that question came up
Right.
at one point. The prior changes to the facade there was no external construction, so ARB was not triggered. The instant application does trigger ARB, so there is no violation or any issue in that regard.
Perfect. Great. Okay, any other comments from the board?
There's one more comment by me. If there's, this is gonna be like a cheesecake factory. You're going to have trucks that are gonna be coming in and out, taking it elsewhere, correct? But they're going to be smaller box trucks.
Box trucks, that's all that can enter the site, yes.
I spoke to the owner, and he confirmed that he has like once a week deliveries for dairy. Once a month he has deliveries for boxes, sugar, other stuff, and chocolates he has every third week. He never had in his experience in his life any trailer delivering. The maximum delivery is a 24-foot box truck, and the delivery that he's delivering the cheesecake is like he has a Sprinter, small trucks.
Okay. We elaborated on the concern that we had for tractor trailers, you know, backing in the way they do now, that down there and blocks traffic from light to light. State troopers stay in line, don't even say anything, okay, which is a shame.
And the
But
owner is
anyway,
also confirming that he will make sure with every delivery that to let him know that no
Excellent,
trailers is allowed to be delivered. So
okay. And you disappointed me tonight.
You bring you chocolate?
You didn't bring the cheesecake.
it's not ready yet. So
Okay, so,
grand
All right.
opening.
Mr. Chair, the one thing the board does need to discuss, the applicant has submitted architectural drawings prepared by Hartman Design. There are, on that submission, which is in the OneDrive, were two specifications, were the two colors. So we just need to review and discuss that because this is subject to ARB.
yeah. You have the colors up there? Did you have colors?
It's on the architectural sheet. It was a photograph imposed.
It's that one, right? Edition CDA 102.
The next one, Terry, that one. if you look in the middle, there are two, there's photographs of the swatches. So this board does have the benefit of, you kind of already know what the colors are, because they're already approved.
What are we looking at right now? At the building, and I just, but what's,
I think you're getting some kind of pixelation.
it's that green stuff.
It's not, yeah, it's not what we're proposing, I can tell you that.
What are you gonna do here?
I think there's just some pixelation occurring on the screen for some reason. I mean, it's Mesa Verde and Crystal White, they're very neutral colors.
Stucco, right?
They're stucco, I mean, what's there right now?
Might be one color straight across.
One color, straight across? No, I think
No,
in the
right
front.
there.
Because right now it's showing they have like alternating swatches. So like, in other words, that's that, and that's that, and that's repeated.
Gray, white, yeah. You get awning.
How did this look before?
What's that?
I don't remember.
So what did this look like?
No, it's just like that.
No, well, not back in the day, there was an awning that
right, Van Gelder
overhang.
was there.
Yeah, there was an awning overhang, it was more like a brownish, tan color.
Was it wood?
No, it's stucco.
No, this is stucco.
Saying what was it?
Oh, what was it? It was brick.
There's a little bit of brick over there, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I recall.
The brick facade, yes. And it had peaks. It looked,
Maybe this is right.
yeah,
This is very boxy.
yeah. And it looks unfinished. It just, it needs something, maybe awnings on the building or something. It just looks unfinished.
Something over the top windows,
Over
maybe.
the top
Yeah.
windows, yeah.
Try to put something around the window, like.
On the top
Yeah, or like awnings or something, you know what I mean, that would maybe go
These up.
2/3 or 3/4 of the way across, like an awning.
They could
The structure on it, not like a fabric, but like an actual built
It could be. yeah,
overhang of
Yeah,
some sort, yeah.
Yeah.
Over the top windows, right, just to give a little more depth in it.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's on the other windows?
Engineer Higgins does raise a point,
There's no signage on
there's
the
no
building.
signage.
Are you gonna have signs when you have tenants?
No signage. Next comment.
Signage on the windows. Like, what you half of the window.
because that would have to come here too.
Signs would have to take the signage.
What's under the windows, Mike? Is that, are those air
That's kind of why they
conditioning
look
units?
unfinished.
Yeah, those are what was there, yeah, those are those
They're
areas,
the-
yeah, the little box cut out.
Yeah, so there's no central air in this, it's just all like wall unit ones?
It's 2 stories.
Right, yeah, there's offices on the top floor.
You have 6 offices on the top floor, and initially there was 6 stores on the bottom floor, but they're making it one.
Actually, there might be actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's doors on both sides of the hall, there's actually,
I don't think so. There was no entrance from the back.
no, this is, yeah. So there's actually 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, there might be actually 12 offices. Some might be doubled up, but
Okay,
there's
oh,
backsides.
the offices on top.
Right, yeah,
I see what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying, but the stores on the bottom.
Oh, right, it's
there's
gonna be
only
open.
6.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And of course, the center staircase, you can see it,
Yeah,
okay, that goes upstairs.
Yeah, so what was your intent for signage?
I have to defer to the applicant on that one, I'm not sure what their thoughts are on that, we haven't had that discussion yet. Do you have any thoughts on it?
It was like to put some signage on the windows.
Yeah, so that would have to come here as well. Or wherever.
You mean actually mounted within the glass? Or are you talking about mounted above?
No, it was something good on the glass. Because these are by code, you're allowed to do 50%. Allowed to call it 50%.
You know the code on that, Liz?
I'm
Looking?
in it now, it's only several.
Yeah, so before there was actually signs beneath each individual window. And that was the sign that actually represented what the commercial retail use was in the bottom. And then there were, we're looking at
So,
then there were signs actually within the windows themselves, the glass windows identifying what that particular office space was.
so the
But
signs in the
they
windows
were
are
independent stores.
not exempt from permitting. What is exempt are decals, which are such as those indicating membership in a business group or identifying credit cards accepted, yada. So the little, you know, member of the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, we take Visa, MasterCard, you know, those kinds of things can go in windows and doors. But if it's a sign,
Like advertisement, right?
Sticker on the window.
It wouldn't.
But that wouldn't be,
That's not-
it's not sufficient for a sign. It's sufficient for what Liz just, you know, just talked about there, which is a business association or something of that nature.
That's a good question.
Not gonna put any signs in the building for that? I mean, we'll cover it here tomorrow.
you can bifurcate.
I thought that was the intention, quite frankly, since it was brought up. Was that this was predominantly chocolate cheese on the bottom floor. There are offices on the top. We don't know who, what, where, or when, until they come in, want to leave space.
Right, I'm thinking,
want a sign,
we're thinking more
and
the
then-
choco cheese,
No, we,
right?
Yeah, well, chocolate cheese themselves, I mean, do they want to have some kind of advertisement there? But for the spaces up top, I thought as applicants, not applicants, but tenants were selected, they would have a sign, we would come back, you follow what I'm saying, propose a sign to the board that way.
Like on the actual building.
On the actual building for the spaces on the second floor,
I don't think we have any intention to put a sign for the office space.
if there is, yeah.
You can also approve a sign without approving the text of the sign. We can accept a sign that doesn't identify the text, that each of the tenant signs will look like a certain, almost like a template, and we can approve that in terms of size, design.
Right, exactly.
And then the text, that doesn't require
Independent.
further approval. We don't care whether it
Right.
says John Doe's widgets or Mary Smith's, whatever.
Right.
We would be okay with that.
it looks rather naked though, it looks bereft of any kind of adornment. Frankly, going by this on 17, I thought there was an intent to do a bit more with this property.
So let's just separate one second. So the sign, you can do that, you can bring it in, you know, and we can approve that.
Sure.
And then, you know, without the actual text on it, but the sign and design.
Dimensionally and give you an idea of what the letter sizes would be and things of that
Yes,
nature, yeah,
and,
sure.
and the construction of those, you know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, they'd be,
Are they gonna be lighted or just?
We'll have to,
that's what they have to
yeah, we'll have
figure
to
out.
show that to you, yeah.
I would think you want a sign, of course, this is gonna be open to the public, correct?
He said that he wants to have one of the windows to put a sign on lighting, just like put the lights with a stick on the windows. One of the windows, I think so, but you allow street cover half of the windows.
You can cover everything up by code, but the sign wouldn't be sufficient to meet the code, doing it that way.
Don't tell me if that little one.
So what they're saying is you can put in like little small stickers in the window that say you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce or something
Right,
like that.
things like that.
But a business sign advertisement needs to be dealt with differently.
So based on the map, they're in signage district, right? So they would have to,
This is definitely gonna be open to the public, right? As a bakery, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so,
I would think you'd want a sign that's,
so Mike, did you get that to sign District 3?
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
So that's what you want to look at.
I mean, something that to consider is if you look at the top of that building, the top left and the top right, you see how there's the overhangs over there on the left and the right side top? If that kind of came on the front as well, at least it would have a little more finished look, a little more depth, right? And that kind of what we're discussing a little bit, like
Yes.
a little depth, a little structure,
Right.
a little.
even if you put an eyebrow above the 6 windows down below, something to show some depth to the building.
Just finish off
Yeah,
that.
it looks
Is what
unfinished.
Paul's getting at.
Yeah, just finish off that
Maybe
whole
not
top.
on the roof, but over the windows anyway.
Put something around the windows, something that's.
Yeah, we
Like a
can
stucco.
frame it. I mean, it is stucco, so we'll try to figure something out that
So you're looking
kind of,
to add a three-dimensional piece of something.
okay, we can look into that.
yeah, just so under this, indoor sign displayed in a window or door whose primary purpose is to communicate information to passerby out of doors shall be included in the total building mounted sign area calculations and shall be subject to all of the provisions of the chapter. So even if the signs are in the window, they're subject to the sign code.
Which means you have to review it. So if we want to put them in the windows, we can. We just like showing what that's going to be.
Show the area.
Well,
Is there any lighting in the parking lot or anything? Is there any lighting for the outside?
Yeah, I mean,
Doorway or?
I think there's like, yeah, parking lot lighting via one of the poles. I think it's got like a,
right?
Are they on
yeah,
your plan, Mike?
I have to double check. I don't remember that level of detail,
Isn't
quite
there
frankly.
parking in the front too? Can you park in the front?
There is parking in the front, yeah. Yeah. But this area along the frontage here is pretty well lit from 17M itself. And I think there might be a metal halide light on one of the poles, kind
Definitely
of.
one on the right in
Yeah.
between you and Mavis, right
Yes,
there.
I know,
But I don't know if it's
Yeah, but
going both ways. But you want,
But again, over the highway doesn't mean anything. Okay, a highway pole. You need your lights because people are gonna be coming in, let's say 4:30 in the middle of the winter. You're gonna need some lighting.
Let me repeat what I said before. There's actually, I believe there's a light on one of the poles that might be in the DOT right of way, but it's pointing into our site. So that's what's helping to light our site. I think it's
your light,
correct. So it's mounted on a pole, but it's our light.
Okay.
So I mean, we can take a look at dressing up the facade of the building. So what I heard were some eyebrows around the windows. Maybe we could frame them out or something as relates to making it look like it's a stucco feature. We'll come up with something.
and even like recessed lights look nice as well, you know?
Even though, you know that like stucco dental molding, right? You know, stuff like that, maybe around the windows.
And like I said, if you wish to have
Just do it the whole
signage,
length of the building.
you can give proposed
The
signage
whole
without,
length of the building.
I don't need to know what the tenant is, I just need to know
I mean,
the
that-
sign's gonna be X size, X cut, you know, this is gonna be the general nature of
And the construction.
the design of the sign and the size. You know, and then when you get a
Not
tenant,
gonna let-
if the sign matches the size of the sign, then you're already set. It's not our intention to have you come back for each time you get a new tenant. to put
Sure.
a sign in.
Right. Or more like the final look,
Understood.
you know?
Yep.
So,
A template's good. This way you can edit it as necessary for different tenants.
all right, so Liz, where do we leave the site plan review?
So I think in light of the discussion, at this point, I think I prepare a approval resolution that gives the applicant time to address the signage and the architectural, so when we come back next month, that will be ready to, we can finalize
Yep.
that and have that ready to go, so I will prep that and change them.
Why don't we get a look at the drawing before doing it?
Well, because you can look at the drawings, but it takes me some time to prep it, and it's always subject to change. So I generally prep them in advance, and then,
Yeah.
You can act on it that night or not.
Time to do it
Yeah.
anyway, so we're gonna look at it, you know, we could still say no. Right, so.
So Lipa brings up a good point, just to make sure, we're really just worried about the facade of this building. I mean, the rear of the building is going to be pretty much hidden, so we're not as concerned about anything to do with the actual addition itself. I just want to make sure that while we're here, we're thinking about all four sides of the building.
Right, so on the addition, are you doing the same thing?
Well, yeah, the addition would be similar to what's shown here, it would just be a stucco material. Yeah,
Right, so,
Boxed out.
yeah, and it's behind the building.
it's
not-
behind the building, correct. So we're just concerned about the facade.
Yeah,
That's what
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't, do you have any changes to the plan?
In terms of the site plan?
Yeah,
Yeah, so the only comment that we had, you made reference to it, was the sign on the north side of the building. You have the one-way sign basically at the exiting part as opposed to the entrance.
Yeah, it's got to be revised, it's got to be reversed, yes.
Switch the location, and that's, all the other comments we talked about.
Yep.
have been addressed.
So is the left side still two ways in? What I'm looking at, the left side of the building,
side.
you can still go both ways.
Oh,
right?
yes, absolutely,
But the
yes.
right- But you're going in just one way on the right side.
Correct,
Okay,
that's
It used
correct.
to be the opposite years ago, but now you're gonna go the other way.
Correct. Well, yeah, actually, there is existing signage on the site.
Okay.
So
But
If you look at this
Right side?
right side
Yeah.
of the parking lot, there's a one-way directional sign there right now.
Going which way? Towards the back?
It's actually going from the back to the front.
Yeah, it's the way it used to
So
be.
it's coming
years
this
ago.
way on the
It's
right.
on my plans, I'm going to reverse it, because the signage is already there, so I'm going to show striping on the pavement that goes from the back of the building to the front of the building on the right-hand side.
You're gonna keep it the way it is.
Yeah, I think that's what we had talked about, right? Yes, we'll keep it the way it currently is, but we'll add a striping arrow on the pavement to go along with that to match the sign.
Okay,
So I'll prep a resolution,
And-
and that gives them the opportunity to update the facade information as well as signage.
and what we need, Mike, is actual samples of that material and the color and the actual, code of the colors and the code of that material.
We can do all that.
Sounds good.
Thank you for your time tonight, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is 9 Pearsall Drive. Pearsall Drive. Hi, Joel, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
Very well.
So Joel Mann, I have the applicant also here. They were here last week, I couldn't make it, so I trained them. Make sure that, and I think he did pretty well. So we explained the situation, he started to do some site work on the site without knowing that site earthwork moving needs a permit. As soon as the building inspector made him aware, we applied. So we did a survey. So per my understanding, last meeting, since most of the earthwork, the grading was done, we did a survey that shows the existing condition. It's basically the way it's going to be. Besides the patio, that's area, I believe that's also showing. It shows in the proposed plan. Yeah, so you have also the gravel area in the back of the house that's going to be enclosed with the glass building. That will go for a building permit for that. So everything on the site is the way it is. We got some, I believe we addressed all the engineering and the legal comments. There's one new comment about the fence that.
I'm really sorry, it was a beautiful survey and then I saw the encroachment.
Yeah,
And-
no, again.
And I know your client, I don't know if your client put the rest there, but it should be something that's cleaned up for his protection as well as for the
It
village.
happens like with fences that it's off with. It's probably, I forgot to measure that before, if it's 1 feet or 1.5 feet, well, it's close, so. Question is,
I think the approach here, and I did speak to the village attorney, is to apply for a license with the village board of trustees, as though they have given similar licenses.
Yeah.
To the effect, you can maintain the fence, and then when the fence comes down, you gotta move it in.
right,
So that, or the other answer is move the fence.
Move the
I
fence.
leave that to your client, but it will be something that should be addressed.
okay. So the question is if that's something that he can probably approve this with the condition that this needs to be addressed, either removed or to get a license.
You either have to move it or get a license, yeah.
Okay. So,
And I'm sorry, I looked at,
no, it's fine, it's something, if it's a fact, it's a fact, we'll have to deal with it. It's,
Right. So did we find out, Dave or Liz, from Jim, on the overall height of the wall, 5 foot versus the 3? Did you?
yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so yeah, the question came up about the wall, and I believe that you have a tiered wall in some places, and in some places also even the wall, just one section of the wall may also be, I think Jim had said over 5 feet. So we had asked though, just for an interpretation about the tiered wall, and he said, in any case, the wall itself is over 5 feet in height, is gonna need to have an engineer.
so we did that.
Well, there was a letter that was provided that says that, the engineer said he reviewed the installation, it was done per manufacturer's recommendations, and he signed the letter. Whether that's sufficient for the building inspector or not, I don't know, but you can certainly submit that.
It's a typical language that we deal with
Yeah.
building department, but I will verify that with Jim.
And that can be a condition of permitting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
It's technically something that needs to be taken care of while the permit, so we anyway need to apply for a permit for the wall, so
It would be part of the.
Part of the
permitting
process
Yeah.
of the
too.
permit, yes.
So, based on this, all my comments have been,
Satisfied.
have been satisfied. So the two issues that remain outstanding are the fence. We can make that a
Condition.
And I would say a condition of obtaining the permit. So we can sign the plan and then a condition of the permit, and I will let Mr. Keenan know that we've made that recommendation. And then the engineering on the wall, that's part of the permitting.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Technically, the condition for the sign off is something that's before the CFO for the wall.
right. I did not, I apologize, prepare a formal resolution as I normally do, but given the relatively simplistic nature of the application, I can, if it meets with the board's approval, we can make a motion tonight, and then I will have a decision for ratification at our next board meeting, so that the applicant can at least move forward that way.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Any,
No, everything was fine.
anybody else have a problem?
So the two conditions would be resolution of the fence,
Yeah,
and then the engineering, but that's a building department issue, so that would be in between permit and CO.
yeah, perfect. Okay, so so we can approve that, so we just need a motion to approve the plan as reviewed. And then Liz is gonna put subject to the conditions that were mentioned.
Make that motion.
Okay, member Kelly, in a second.
I'll second.
Member Allen, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, approved.
Thank you very much for helping out for the first turnaround, so you can enjoy it still this summer a couple of minutes.
Yes.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry, who made the second?
Alan.
Thank you, have a good night.
All right, you too, Joel. Good to see you. Okay. Okay, third is the Monroe Woodbury Islamic Center. Dave, is everything on your side? Any comments?
With the, so we've been, Brian and I have had correspondence back and forth. They had provided a construction cost estimate for bonding of the project. We had given them some revisions to make, which they made and submitted today. I quickly took a look at it. It looks like it was in order, but I would just want to check, basically check the numbers.
And then that's got to go to the village board for approval.
Correct. And then they also provided some calculations to supplement the sewer pump station report, and that, I did check that. That looked like that was fine. They've addressed all of the comments previously on the stormwater pollution prevention plan. Everything on the on the site plan. I believe the only thing that needed to be added was a Siamese connection at the building for the fire suppression system, and potentially a hydrant at the building as well. And I believe that was added to the draft resolution of approval.
What is the cost estimate for this building?
I forget the exact number. It was over 700,000, I think, right?
That's for the site improvement. You're talking about the cost for the building itself? or the
Cost
site?
of the complete site improvement and building.
It's going to be about 790.
How much?
790.
That's for
790,000.
the public.
790,000.
Correct. That's for the site improvement, drainage, erosion sediment control, except the building.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I did circulate to the applicant as well as the board a draft resolution. My apologies, it was so late. So I do want to just start going through that. This does remain subject to discussion, okay? And also remember that we're in a position to approve the site plan, the special permit. We're also going to be approving, subject to the board's vote, architectural review, okay? So, whereas the Village of Monroe Planning Board has received the site plan and special permit application of Mohammed Hassan Mia On behalf of the Monroe Woodbury Islamic Center for approval to demolish the existing dwelling and construction of a community place of worship, together with associated site improvements. Whereas the proposed place of worship consists of a two-story building with a footprint of 14,248 square feet, having 230 seats and 111 parking spaces. The parcel contains 109,356 square feet of property in the SR 20 zoning district, with access via Orange Turnpike. Whereas the planning board has received and considered the following: application last revised June 27th, 2023. Project narrative is revised July 15th, 2024. Short form environmental assessment form dated August 1st, 2022, last revised June 27th, 2023. Site development plan prepared by Axel National and Ziegler PC dated August 26, 2022, last revised June 2017, 2024, consisting of 21 sheets. I'm not going to read all 21 sheets, they're all listed in the documents. Actually, I see a typo. I'm fixing the typo. Stormwater pollution prevention plan report prepared by Axel National and Ziegler dated August 26, 2022, last revised June 17, 2024. Traffic impact study dated August 28, 2023, prepared by DTS Provident Design Engineering, LLP. Comments of Kimley Horn in response thereto dated November 10, 2023. Architectural drawings and renderings prepared by Amara Chobriel Architects, I hope I said that correctly, dated October 31st, 2023, consisting of the following sheets, and I've spelled out the sheets, I'm not going to read each sheet. Correspondence of the State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, dated September 1st, 2022. Decision of the Village of Monroe Zoning Board of Appeals, issued June 11th, 2024. Decision signed August 14th, 2024. Correspondence of the Fire District, dated July 12th, 2024. Comments by the Planning Board Engineer, Building Inspector, Planning Board Attorneys. Apparently I formed myself. Public comments and responses of the applicant. Whereas the Planning Board declared itself to be lead agency on July 25th, 2023, and has determined that this is an unlisted action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And whereas subsequent to that resolution, the Village Board of the Village of Monroe adopted Local Law 23 of 2023, which resulted in the need for variances from the Village of Monroe Zoning Board of Appeals. And whereas after examining the EAF, the Planning Board determined that the following agencies are involved or interested in agencies for purposes of seeker: Village of Monroe Planning Board, Village of Monroe Zoning Board of Appeals, Orange County Sewer District Number 1, Village of Monroe DPW. Whereas by resolution dated March 26, 2024, the Village of Monroe Planning Board adopted a revised resolution declaring its intent to be lead agency, finding that coordinated action was appropriate. Whereas the application was referred to the Village of Monroe Zoning Board of Appeals on December 11, 2023. And whereas the Planning Board held duly noticed public hearing, on December 11th, 2023, continued on May 28th, 2024, and closed on May 28th, 2024. Whereas after consideration of all the materials and comments before it, the Planning Board declared that this action will not have an adverse environmental impact for the reasons set forth in the written negative declaration dated June 10th, 2024, incorporated here if set forth at length, excuse me. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals granted affirmative relief by resolution on June 11, 2024, which is reflected in a written decision dated August 14, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved, the Planning Board hereby makes the following findings. The site is already home to the Monroe Woodbury Islamic Center, which has outgrown its existing formerly residential structure located on the property. The use is permitted in the SR 20 zoning district as a special permit use. The area contains multiple other institutional and religious uses of similar size and scale, including the town of Monroe Town Hall, originally developed as a synagogue, Sacred Heart Church, and St. Paul's Lutheran Church. The proposed building will actually be lower than the existing structure as a result of relocating the building on site, together with alterations to the grade of the site. The proposed minaret is exempt from the height restrictions. See section 200-5 height building. The proposed landscaping plan will work to buffer the proposed use from adjoining residential properties. The plan relies on both natural plantings and man-made fences to screen adjoining properties. The proposed parking meets the village code for the required number of parking spaces. The proposed parking lot has been designed to accommodate emergency vehicles and garbage collection to and from the site. The applicant has presented a traffic study which indicates there's adequate site distance at the driveway to allow entering and exiting vehicles to enter onto Orange Turnpike safely. The proposed action will require connection to the community water and sewer services. Water and sewer use are expected to be approximately 3,680 gallons gallons per day. Utilizing water saving fixtures. The village engineer has reviewed the proposed water service connections and the proposed sanitary sewer connections and determined that both can be safely accommodated. The applicant proposes to pump sewage via force main to the front of the proposed building, which will run east along Orange Turnpike, connecting to the existing sewer main on Coffee Road. Sewer services are provided from Orange County Sewer District Number 1, and a sewer connection will be required to the existing sewer main. Any approval will be subject to capacity at the Harriman Sewage Treatment Plant. The village does not anticipate sewer and water needs will increase substantially over the existing water usage, resulting in no substantial impact in the area of sewer and water. Be it further resolved that the planning board hereby grants site plan approval, special use permit, and architectural review approval subject to the following terms and conditions. 1, the terms of the special permit shall be incorporated as they fully set forth herein at length. 2, prior to signing the site plan, A, applicant to address any and all outstanding comments as set forth in the July 3rd, 2024 memorandum of David Higgins, Lincoln Tully Engineering. B, applicant to add fire hydrant off of the proposed 6-inch service and assign these connection of the building, designed to be provided for review and approval by the village engineer and fire district. Applicant to pay all fees. Applicant to provide easement and maintenance agreement to the village of Monroe for the proposed force main in the village's right of way for review and approval by the planning board attorney. Upon approval, said agreement will be recorded in the Orange County Clerk's office with recording information noted on the plan. Applicant to provide stormwater maintenance agreement for review and approval by the planning board attorney pursuant to, that should be section 168.14. D, upon approval, said agreement to be recorded in the Orange County Clerk's office with recording information noted on the plan. Applicant to submit cost estimate of site improvements pursuant to 272E or D through E. Applicant to submit bond and inspection fees in accordance therewith prior to the signing of the plan. Cost estimates and proposed performance bond is subject to review and approval by the village board of trustees. Confirmation by the village engineer and planning board attorney that the final site plan conforms to the terms of this approval resolution. Prior to obtaining a building permit, applicant to receive approval for proposed work within right-of-way of Orange Turnpike as required by Orange County DPW and the Village of Monroe DPW. Applicant to obtain approval of proposed sewer improvements in connection by Orange County Environmental Facilities and Services. Applicant to obtain all permits. Applicant to cause a licensed New York State land surveyor to flag the property identifying the boundary lines. Applicant to mark and protect all trees being preserved as shown on the approved landscaping plan. Prior to issuance of the certificate of occupancy, the improvement shall conform to the renderings submitted by the applicant. See document listed as number 7 in this resolution. The stucco shall be 158 Stowe signature stone 109433 Stowe white. General conditions. Applicant to commence construction within 1 year pursuant to 200-72F of the Village of Monroe Village Code. Applicant may request an extension. Site plan approval is subject to the terms and condition of the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals dated August 14, 2024. Applicant to remove all encroachments identified on the plan. Any trees to be removed or to be removed in accordance with the state recommended restrictions on ground disturbance activities to protect bats between the period of April 1st and October 31st. Tree removal and the felling of trees that may be habitat for listed bat species will be avoided during the growing season by restricting the felling of trees to the period from November 1 to March 31st. If this is not possible, the trees will be field checked by a qualified biologist prior to felling to ensure that they do not provide suitable habitat for state listed species. If they do, further consultation may be necessary with New York State DEC prior to any trees identified as habitat. And that should say prior to removal of. Marilyn, here's your favorite, all landscaping shown on the landscaping plan. Oh, I'm really adding 1,000 here, guys. Shall be maintained in perpetuity. The planning board has not reviewed signage. Any future signage shall be subject to approval by the planning board in accordance with Article 10 of the zoning chapter. The applicant has represented that the customary call for prayer is internal to the building and is not broadcast outside the building. No external broadcast of any kind shall be a condition of approval. The applicant has represented that there are 2 large events per year during which approximately 250 congregants are expected to attend. Whenever larger events are anticipated, in excess of 200 attendees, the applicant shall coordinate with the Village of Monroe Police Department prior to such events to provide any additional traffic control, which shall be in the chief of police's sole discretion. Congregants and guests of Monroe Woodbury Islamic Center shall only access the property from Orange Turnpike. No access from Reynolds Road is permitted. Attendance at any services, wedding receptions, or other social or religious functions held at the community place of worship shall be limited
You
to.
skipped number 13.
14.
Yeah.
Applicant shall ensure that the vegetation in the area of the driveway entrance is maintained in order to allow adequate sight distance on Orange Turnpike. Thanks, Jeff. So they just have to keep any vegetation cut back so when you can look around. Attendance at any services, wedding receptions, or other social or religious functions held at the community place of worship shall be limited to the capacity of the community place of worship as determined by applicable building codes of New York State, as well as available on-site parking. Kitchen equipment, if any, shall be in compliance with all plumbing, electrical, fire, health, and safety codes. Such equipment shall be utilized only for preparation of food served on site and not for off-site heating. And that's taken directly from the code.
The only thing I wanted to ask you is the Orange County DPW and the Village of Monroe DPW. I don't think it's an or, I think it's an and.
And it should be an and, yes. Which one is that, Chuck?
Number 3.
3A.
I have it as an and. I probably altered it
Okay,
right after.
so,
I
yeah.
have it as an and. Yes. It might be. Okay.
That might be the version before that.
The prior version. Behind that is the special permit. I do attach them in the same document so that they don't get lost. Your code requires you to make a series of findings, statutory findings. This is governed by both 200, section 200-48 and 200-63. The board determines after review of all application materials, consultant comments, and public comments that the applicant owner has satisfied the findings required by the village code, section 200-48.2. In particular, the findings as set forth in the approval resolution are incorporated as herein is set forth at length. The location and size of use, the nature and intensity of the operations and traffic involved in or conducted in connection with the use, the size of the site in relation to it, and the location of the site with respect to the streets giving access to it are such that it will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the district in which it is located. The location, nature, and height of buildings, walls, fences, and the nature and extent of landscaping on site are such that the use will not hinder or discourage appropriate development and use of adjacent land and buildings. Operations in connection with any special use will be no more objectionable to nearby properties by reason of noise, fumes, vibration, or other characteristics that would be the operations of any permitted use not requiring a special use permit. Parking areas will be of an adequate size for the particular use, property located and suitably screened from adjoining residential uses, and the entrance and exit drives are laid out so as to achieve maximum safety. Existing municipal facilities are adequate for the proposed use. The property will be suitably landscaped to protect the neighborhood and adjacent property in perpetuity. Based on these findings, the planning board approved the special permit subject to the following condition. All landscaping as shown on the landscaping plan should be maintained in perpetuity. This might be I think this is carryover from the prior. I have no outdoor cooking facility should be permitted. I think that's a carryover, inadvertent carryover. My apologies. I could leave it in. You just can't have outdoor cooking facilities. Applicant to comply with chapter 145 of the Village of Monroe Code noise. And then the next question is expiration, and I think there was a question as to that, and I'm just gonna pull the code section and make sure.
I think you stopped reading in the middle of that one. The village reserves the right to revoke or not
Yes.
renew.
The village reserves the right to revoke or not renew the special use permit in the event of violations. And then the next question, which we have to discuss, is number 3, number 3, special use permit shall expire within 1 year of issuance of the certificate of occupancy. And I'm just pulling the correct section for that.
Yeah, we looked it up. It says the special use permit shall expire if work is not initiated pursuant thereto within 1 year of issuance. That particular section is cited, that's what it says. It's not the CO.
So the question for this board, it should be 48.3. In some applications, we've had a renewal. This is a carryover from another application, where essentially we use that as an opportunity, as a check-in, with several uses in the village that, where we don't, it's not indefinite, they have to come back. Have they complied? Have they maintained their landscaping? Have they been good
Yeah,
neighbors?
I don't think that's a bad thing, you know what I mean?
So the question is, does the board wish to, bring folks back in a time period? You can go up to 5 years.
Yeah, I would think we should review it.
I was just going by the code
Yeah.
section that was cited.
So it's 48.3.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it's not your fault.
Hope you didn't spend too much time on that.
I went on the, E360 and I pulled it up. E-code 360.
It does, so I wanna be clear,
I see it.
yeah, give me 1 second. There's two expirations, yes. If they haven't started work, it expires within 1 year up here. May issue temporary permits for a period not to exceed 5 years.
Oh, but it just says, planning board may issue temporary permits for a period not to exceed 5 years. It doesn't say that, it doesn't say.
Right,
that
it's
if
a
it
typo.
expires,
That's a
that it
typo.
expires 1 year after the CO, that's kind of crazy.
No.
Right.
We get a CO and it's gonna expire
Right.
after 1 year, that's insane.
No, it's, special use permit. Special use permit shall expire 1 year, within 1 year. No construction.
No building permit, or is it construction started or building permit issued? Construction started?
The special permit shall expire if work is not initiated pursuant thereto within 1 year of issuance, that's 48.4A1. Well, you could. We just went through the draft. There are 2 provisions in prior to signing the site plan that I believe Ryan addressed with Mr. Higgins, so we'd like to go through those and the reasons for that we're requesting that be moved to the paragraph that it should be done prior to the obtaining of a building permit.
So which,
Can you elaborate more? It's, I
I'm sorry,
remember.
it's 2B and 2D of the, under where it says prior to signing the site plan.
the fire hydrant one?
Correct. The fire hydrant and then the easement, we won't, I can address the easement part, that we won't have a meets and bounds description until after the fact, so we're not gonna be able to do that before the signing of the map. They're gonna, we will need it, of course, before the building permit. But when we put it through Orange County Sewer District 1, they won't approve and get the meets and bounds until after the fact. So it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right.
Because we won't be able to get the plan signed. So that one's impossible to do. And the other one, Ryan, I believe, spoke to Mr. Higgins.
Yeah, so item number 2B, what they're saying, we have to propose the fire hydrant off the proposed line and also the Siamese for the building connection. This is actually part of the architecture plan, mechanical, plumbing, electrical plan. So it makes sense to really apply for the prior to the building permit because we don't have the plan to show as per the map sign. So we want that 2B and 2D prior to apply for the building permit. I spoke to David Higgins, he said it makes sense.
Okay.
They want your.
Yeah, Dave, what do you?
Yeah, basically, I mean, the Siamese connection and the hydrant location are probably gonna be triggered based on the mechanical engineer's design for the fire
Right.
suppression system, which they don't have right now, right? You guys are gonna have to work on that. So if they had it on the plan right now, there's a good chance it's probably gonna change
Right.
prior to construction anyway. So I certainly wouldn't have any objection to having that made, put that off until a building permit was issued.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a problem.
I just made that change.
Meaning prior to.
Right, yeah.
I've just added.
And what about
That's
the-
now FNG.
And the first comment that they want to remove, Liz?
I fixed The, so with respect to the special permit, I corrected the language that, so if they don't start work within a year, the special permit expires by operation of law, they can request extensions. The next question for this board is, do you wish a, renewal period? I don't know that I would do a year, maybe 5.
Yeah, I think there should be a renewal period. I mean, you know, we could shoot the difference between that and do like a 3-year or something.
Renewal if they don't start
Well, no,
construction in
not
1
if they
year?
don't start construction,
There's triggers for that.
there's, if they don't start construction, then the special permit lapses by operation of law.
Lapses, got it.
But once they're in and built, it's effectively, they would come back every, whatever the period, up to 5 years, they'd come back once every 5 years, and have they maintained the landscaping, you know, is traffic working, is all that, is that, all that stuff done? It does impose an extra burden on the applicant.
Yeah, not a terrible one. I mean, we had ShopRite do that like 4 times.
ShopRite is one of them. ShopRite comes back to us every 5 years.
Yeah, because they need to.
They've been here so often, they come here back once every 5 years, it's not a burden.
Well, no, they come back because they're usually not in compliance.
It's okay.
That's why we keep renewing it. We usually do it once, and if everything works,
Yeah.
at least that's been my experience.
You can on the first renewal,
Yeah, and then
then
just,
make it permanent.
right, that's what I think, so. And I don't know, they'd wait 5 years, and they could do 3 or 4 years, and by the time, yeah, I'm thinking by the time it gets built, and then they do everything, you know?
I reviewed that section. The other one though that we were talking about.
I just copied the language.
Was the 2B, right?
I moved both,
Okay.
B and D. I
Okay,
moved
thank
D and
you.
D.
All right.
So, yeah, I would, my suggestion would be to do a 3-year renewal, and then after that, if everything's good,
I'm fine with
they don't
that.
have to come back.
Thank you.
So,
Chairman, I have one update, that I hope it's not too late. So we met 2 weeks ago at the workshop. One of your board members wanted to walk by to the site, just
Barbara.
to show Barbara, what the location of the drainage is going to be, especially to the north side of the property, how it's gonna really impact. I know that they're proposing the fence on the wall, so I joined them, the president of the mosque and Barbara. She looked at it. She said, "Oh, well, is there any way we could really improve the screening?" So what I did, I went back to the office and we went a little above and beyond. There's something that is really improve the property. So the landscaping to the north side, I just made a handout for you, which is I have done.
so let's do the north side of
Yeah, exactly. It used to be wall and the fence. I made a handout
I
for
mean,
you.
truthfully, let's start back, you know, start there, I might tweak it slightly, but start there.
It'd be better for the lights going that way and
Yeah.
well, the lights were handled by the fence, so you're talking about,
fence and screening.
Hey,
That's happening.
I'm yelling lawyers.
So we improved the landscaping by removing the fence. But again, you guys.
fence is gone.
Yeah, the fence, so the second page, that's the plan that you looked at it to the workshop.
Okay,
That shows no fence, excuse me, no landscaping.
yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
Shows the fence. So it's replacing the fence.
correct, and the wall, no wall and the fence, but we put the,
So just in layman's terms,
Here you go.
look at this, so the fence was sitting on top of the wall, making it like, I think it was 4 feet above, right? So what does this do? What's the appreciable
now
difference?
it could go up to 50 to 60 feet tall over
Because of
years.
the, okay,
Because they grow and everything, initially it comes with 8 feet and over every year they grow between 3 to 5 feet.
and what are they that you're,
Green giant arborvitae.
okay.
So now there's
So
no
it'll
more,
close at the bottom too?
Yes.
That's,
And
right,
that gives you like a screening. Because
Right.
you say, well, the kitchen is right there with that deck, for it, you know?
Yeah.
If there's any way I could improve it, but the way I did, I have the drainage chamber, I connected it to parallel to the property. And we gained about 7 feet and was able to do the landscape.
how tall are you?
so you would move the drainage,
No, the number of chamber remain as is, it's just alignment, just changing the rotation.
so that would have to go back to review.
No, he looked at it, everything.
Oh, already done?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the plan, but I understand that the
Concept.
premise is that, you know, instead of having the chambers running in this direction, he's rotating them.
Right, no change except directional and so forth, but you'd still have to just look at
I
it.
would want, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to resubmit a revised plan if that's what you
Right.
wanna, if that's what you wanna do.
So if this is the plan that you can adopt, we're gonna revise it and then we're gonna be enforced as per the prior to the map signing.
So this is the area that you changed.
So the second page,
Can we have the rendering again?
the second page, you can be a whole,
That's the one.
Right.
The rendering there?
Excuse me, these are divided, deer love them, and they're always on the bottom where the deer go is where they're gonna eat it. So how is that gonna stop the lights? There's no fence no more, no wall, no. Yeah, so how are they gonna stop?
I think there's some species they could really be really deer resistance, that deer doesn't eat them. We could really put a note that deer resistance everybody, we could.
Because if otherwise they're gonna see those headlights even better. I mean, no wall, no fence, why did we change it to this?
No, we didn't change it, it's just for you to review.
It's an al-
You know,
It's an alternative, it's an alternative.
So the second page, if you look at it, we have.
That's what it was before, the
Exactly,
wall
yeah.
and the fence.
Exactly.
So in other words, they wouldn't be looking at a fence, Marilyn, they'd be looking at a natural fence. But I understand what you're saying.
In the bottom, 'cause the deer-
Like,
Well, that is a good point, that the deer do, you know, eat the arborvitae's, but, and I don't know,
I think they have the deer resistance.
Yeah, right, but have you ever seen anything that deer don't?
If they're hungry enough, especially in this area, they're gonna eat it. I had deer-resistant trees here all bottomed out.
really?
Yeah, 100%.
What are they, you know?
I don't know, but they're specifically deer-resistant, bottomed out.
It's not real.
It's not real.
You could just say, I know for a fact
Right.
they eat it.
Here's
They
the
eat
problem. They'll eat anything, any plastic, anything, you know.
Done it before, but-
No, I appreciate this extra effort, I mean, in a huge way, this is, because you didn't have to do that, I mean, this was already, so.
Wait, time out. There are way too many side conversations.
Well, the main conversation, the important one was happening over here.
No.
So-
Poor Terry's gotta be able to keep minutes, and when we've got
She was taking everything we were writing, we were saying, she was writing it all down.
on the recording,
No, so Marilyn brought up a very good point, that the arborvitae's are not, you know, the deer eat them, so if they, and they eat where they can reach. So even if a deer, and deer will often go up on their hind legs to eat if they're hungry enough, so
So
anything.
I did have a conversation with, Mr. Nasher about this, which is why he's presenting it as an alternative.
Yes.
My understanding, it was the discussion with Barbara, which was fine, but I wanted to make sure we have the discussion of the entire board. If you wish, the existing plan, where maintain the existing plan with the fence along that one property line, you're certainly welcome to do that. This resolution, then you don't need to
Yeah,
change it.
I think we know that a fence will not allow the light through.
The deer won't eat
The deer aren't gonna eat
Deer will
it.
as well.
They might run into it, but they won't eat it.
Right, so it's gonna be,
Those people are complaining.
So,
but,
I
and they
think-
do eat, I mean, the deer are crazy.
So I think just, if we could just have a quick poll of the board, new or old, that would be helpful for,
Yeah.
for this proposal.
Or any comments that you guys have, I mean, you heard everything right there, that was the issue. So the new proposal, this is an alternative proposal. You know, and I think they bent over backwards here to try to do this. But, any thoughts, a quick poll, do you wanna stick with what we had?
I think the fence is probably the better option.
I agree.
Because, I mean, trees could die and all that, and then you're gonna have gaps in between, you know, like.
I think if you replant it too, though, they do that.
Well,
In perpetuity.
Well, they have to.
That's a condition, but
In 5 years, you won't know,
If they're on it,
years, whatever it is.
yeah, you're right.
I vote fence.
Yeah, I'm for fence.
Yeah, I think we stick with the original one.
How do you, Fred?
I think you did a good job in the first round, so.
I think the fence is better alternative.
Yeah.
Can we have the rendering again? Can we see the rendering?
Of the.
I don't know if you can. You have to write, the board is fine, we're used to the board.
The visual.
it might be under previous documents.
feel like I
No,
didn't use
it's
it there.
basically a question on,
Yeah, I thought we looked
I
at
know
it.
you've
Yeah.
spoken with David.
That's it, I think.
And
right?
David
No, no.
gone through
Isn't it
the
design?
cost.
Isn't that the design?
Yes.
Oh, no, decision. My eyes are terrible.
You said to me that the total cost of construction for this building,
Not for the building.
For the,
just the site is 790,000. Correct. What is the building cost?
Building, we don't have the number because the architect is still working on the plan. That includes what we don't have right now, the mechanical, plumbing, electrical,
Okay.
when the structural. When we have it, that we're gonna finalize the number.
Okay, just a quick question to the architect then. What do you think this building's gonna cost? Round numbers.
4.8 million?
Okay, I was thinking 5-6 million
Yeah.
myself. Okay,
Go up to the top. 4.8 is pretty close to 5. 4.8 is pretty close to 5.
mentioned 5.
Give it time, it'll go up.
that'll grow, that'll grow.
That's right.
Needless to say, you know, I was,
There we go.
Is that what we want to
Is that what you want to see, Fred?
Yeah, that's what I want to see. It's the considered
That's a good-
opinion of this board. Oh, I want to confirm this, that this building fits with the surrounding area and won't hinder development. Because frankly, I don't see that at all.
I mean, yeah,
It's a religious building. I don't think we can dictate what it looks like. It's religious and it's permitted there. I mean, look at the other churches. Do they fit where they are?
Why, you know, I'm glad you raised that question, because when the synagogue was converted, it turned over just like that.
Right?
It transitioned rather easily to a town hall.
Yes.
And I think the same could be said of any of the other buildings that were mentioned, St. Paul's Church, steeple could come down or whatever. This is something very, very alien.
It's a religious building and.
Yeah, I know it's a religious
But
building.
I know, but, you know, but look at Sacred Heart. What could you do with that?
The Sacred Heart?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with that? If they wanted to do something with it, what could we do? Nothing. I mean, it's a religious building. What are you gonna do with it?
It's funny, I mean, there's actually a converted church in Pittsburgh, it's just like Sacred Heart, that functions very well as a brewery, Church Works Brewery.
A brewery. Oh, that's just what we would love to have.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay,
We could put like a little sign right on the.
Something like this.
sure. Well, then take away well, in that case, I mean,
Because
I don't
the
know.
question of whether or not it's a religious building doesn't answer all the criteria.
Well, I don't think we have much control on.
Which criteria are you thinking, Fred?
A building,
What I'm saying is, and also, well, what I'm saying is,
yeah.
it strikes me as it's going to stand out very much from the rest of the buildings around there. And I think it would hinder the development in the surrounding area.
In that particular spot, I'm not sure you could build anything but a house. Seriously, in that particular spot, that is not gonna stand out differently. You know what I mean? The difference with the old synagogue, it was built in an unusual shape, one that, like you just said, easily translated to something else, and that's true. But, you know, you got the golf course there, you got the church across the street, you know what I mean? And down the street a little bit. It's much more than that. This one kind of stands alone up further, but it's still in the zone. That's the issue, you know what I mean? So, I don't know what you would put there anyway, even if you put a,
If you take a look at.
And what are we supposed to
take a
put
look
in
at
color on this?
we did.
We got two colors, we got white and slightly off-white.
I took you guys went with the whiter of the whites, and that's the code that I wrote
Right,
down
that's
the
what was-
code and
that was the
put code
consensus.
Into the resolution. That was the consensus at our last meeting.
If you
We
take,
went through
you
this at the last meeting.
take a look at the building that's there now. It's tucked into the corner, same way.
But it was a house.
It's a house.
That's right.
But it's a house.
Right.
It's a big house.
It's a small house.
It's a small house.
It's bigger than the normal house. Here, what you see from the road is only the top half of the building,
Correct.
Right.
which is really house-like.
It's definitely not house-like, I mean, look at it, but, you know.
This is from a different angle.
But the way it's tucked in and so on, I don't think it's a burden to the neighborhood at
The
all.
geometric signs on the outside, I know that's traditional, but, or traditional Islamic anyways. Still.
See, that's what you're looking at in the sense of the screen.
Right.
One thing I want to just bring into attention, the way the building is really set at angle such a way is in northeast because the direction of the Qibla is the direction they pray. It's not like a typical retail, you take a rectangular box, you just put in there, parallel to the street. It's not, it's north 58 to the east. That's why the building is rotated, so they could really make a direction where to facing the direction and they could pray. That's why you may think is really, we're looking, it's really the alignment of the direction that they pray with the direction. And I think you mentioned about the building, maybe this is the height is really is tall, and the proposed building is gonna be lower by 3 feet. What do you think?
It's smaller than, it's lower than the building.
Well, it's lower than the existing house, right, but it's also
It
much
is.
wider and bigger, right? So
Much further back.
But Fred, to your point, I would say this, if I was gonna do something different, if the mosque didn't work out for some reason, you could turn that into a community center,
Or a library.
right, or a library, and you can, if the geometric
I don't-
things bothered you, right, so you could, that's a facade.
The adaptive reuse of
That's
the
facade.
building, that's what I do. So you want to turn into something else, I can help you with it. You could do a school, you could do a library, you could do many other uses, but the specific use for the building right now is a house of worship, it's a mosque.
Yep.
Any other changes to the resolution?
Any changes to the resolution or thoughts that anybody has? I think you picked up everything that was already mentioned, right, Liz? So, no, so no.
So, and I do reserve the right to go through and check any typos, because I've been finding a couple as I type.
Full out.
Okay.
So, I'm not gonna reread that all again. Is there anything else that,
Yeah, Fred, what was the point that you didn't like? Was there just one point in that resolution that concerned
I think it
you?
was the third point. We're voting that this is consistent, the location, nature, and height of the building is consistent with the surrounding area and will not hinder development of the surrounding area. I don't find that. And frankly, I'll vote against it.
You know, technically, yeah, not consistent with the look of the area, but it's permitted in the area, and I think that's.
That doesn't, that alone doesn't.
But I think you'd vote no then on even Sacred Heart,
Yeah,
because you couldn't, that's not consistent there either.
that wouldn't be consistent.
No, I might have, yeah.
Right,
Frankly,
so-
I'm not-
so it's
I'm
not-
really not craving cigarette either.
Right.
Sacred Heart is higher than this building.
It's what?
It's also set back.
Sacred
quite a
Heart
bit.
is higher than.
Well, it sits up, that's why.
It's also set back quite a bit.
This is set back a lot more.
No, I mean from the side property lines?
This is set back a lot
Like
more
neighboring,
from the road.
From the road it
road
is, right.
itself.
and just, I
And
know,
cigarette doesn't,
And
cigarette's not
tucked,
gonna
and
dominate.
tucked into the woods.
And cigarette does not, first of all, not that I'm a big fan of Sacred Heart. I think the Zuckerman's did a terrible job with that building. So, I don't like it at all, period. But it doesn't dominate the surrounding area the way this will. I don't like it. From the minority on the board, that's okay with me.
so just to be clear on the standard, set forth in your code, it's that the use will not hinder or discourage the appropriate development and use of adjacent land and buildings.
Right.
So, I note that.
I note that everybody around it thinks it will.
Well, but all the properties around it are already developed. And will this use prevent, if somebody wants to tear a house down and build something else, will it prevent that?
No.
Possibly. Possibly. Can't see no.
But how?
Well, I don't know if you can answer that either way.
Yeah, right.
Because
Right, you don't
depending
know.
on what the plan is and what they're,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Certainly one could imagine, for example, the old Winkler House on one plot up on Orange Turnpike. If you wanted to do something with that property, one could certainly imagine this building discouraging someone doing that. Building a new house or a traditional property, because you wouldn't have a traditional building or a traditional house next to this.
Yeah, you know what, I think, you know, if you have a situation like you build somewhere, you're going in eyes wide open if this is there, right? So you know, and there's people that are gonna say, hey, I wanna be there, and this is what I'm gonna do, and there's other people that are gonna say, I don't wanna be there, and I'm not gonna do it.
If I may, this discourage here, because I've been in front of a lot of courts, read a lot of zoning codes. This is an objective discourage, meaning we're doing something that's gonna actually hinder the development on other properties because of water runoff,
Right.
some other reasons like that. It's not a subjective, whether I mean, the other people don't wanna live in Monroe. People still wanna live in Monroe. I mean, this could go either way on everything in life. That's not what we're discussing, though. We're discussing, is this property hindering the other properties around it? If anything, it's the opposite. Today, that drop in the back allows for more water runoff towards the neighbors. There is a big, like a 50-foot, we can go there right now, there's a big 50-foot, I don't know, there's a pool maybe or something in the past that was just covered over. So all of these improvements are actually gonna improve the property. It's gonna improve the water runoff. The trees we're adding are gonna add to the greenery in the neighborhood. So whether there's a house next to it or not, trust me, I feel for it, I understand that, but the use is permitted. We've done everything we could.
Since 2022.
The Minios disagreed rather vociferously with your stance, though.
What was that again?
The Minios disagreed rather vociferously with your stance.
The what, I'm sorry?
The Minios.
It's a neighbor.
Family.
It's
Under the families.
A neighbor, yeah.
I mean, again, this is my point.
So let me answer that one.
Sure.
If any neighbor gonna be benefit for the drainage improvement, that's gonna be one of the neighbors in Minia's property. We really looked at it very carefully and actually look at the walkthrough with Barbara 2 weeks ago. Right now, what they have a big gully there, so it's really the drainage is really kind of ponding there. What we are proposing is really improving the neighboring property. If any neighbor going to be improving or be benefited, it's the neighbor surrounding the neighborhood. I mean, the property. So that was being addressed. Okay, we addressed all the items that requested by the neighbor: the headlight, the drainage. You're talking with the screening. I have the number over here. We are saving 12 trees, existing trees. New trees, 119 new trees that we are proposing. Shrubbery, 192. These are like above and beyond, and then we have the grass and the fenava, 160 and 186. The landscaping, the cost, if you look at it, it's really huge, and the applicant has no problem. Why they want to cooperate and just improve the property and of course the surrounding neighborhood. So to answer your question, if anybody can be improved and benefited, that's really the neighbor. And also the access, the private access to Reynolds Road, that has been cut off. The existing water line, that has been cut off. We are making a new connection. All the improvement that really added to the cost is really the benefit for the surrounding neighborhood.
The neighbors have complained about water off of that property for years. For years. This is a major improvement for them. Their basements are always wet.
And we are cutting off all the drainage and bringing everything to the Orange Turnpike. We are putting the porous asphalt for the parking lot and also the over design for the drainage. I went above and beyond, and even I offered that last landscaping just for the optional. I ran out of the room how I could really make the improvement and be in a good neighborhood.
You can find a way to get rid of the deer. That'd be it.
Right, have you guys taken down those barns in the back, or those stables, whatever they had back there? In the back, behind the property there?
What they have, oh, like a,
The red barn in the back.
Those barns back there, did they
Oh, that-
take
that-
them out already? Or are
no, they
still
have
there?
it, but what they're gonna do is, the very initial thing they're gonna do is apply for the demolition permit and spoke to the building inspector. The next step is gonna be getting the asbestos inspector to come in and inspect all these buildings that have asbestos. If there is, that's a step that they have to go through.
Right.
This is to be proposed to be removed when they actually ready for
Right.
the demolition permit.
Yeah, I mean. the
So
way
no,
I
they're
see
still
that
there.
Property, I've inspected that house myself personally twice. And it was a disaster.
Yeah,
It was a disaster, like, it is bad, it was never maintained, it was just lived in, and
They had a
if it
school in there,
broke,
they had a school in there too.
yeah, they had,
A day school.
Yeah.
I went there, the floor is pitched. You cannot really just
yeah.
sit in it, how bad it is.
There's-
It's beyond repairable.
Yeah.
That's why they decided to take it down safely and then they could really accommodate their congregation, the new building.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I think, any other comments? Nope, all right, so we need
I'll make a motion to accept the,
to approve.
to approve the resolution as written and amended.
I'll second that.
Member Allen, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Against.
And
For the
Barbara's
reasons I
absent.
just stated.
Okay. Motion's approved.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you guys.
It was great.
Yes, you too.
I'm gonna get promoted on this one.
Good night.
Usually get
Just,
separated.
just an
Yeah,
outside
no, that's a
comment, and
good
I'll
call.
make it. It was a pleasure working with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good job.
Same here. Same
Thanks
here.
very much.
So that's why I do it in one document, that's why I'm not going for the site plan.
Makes sense.
Permit, whereas it's all in one.
I will. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it.
But, for the most part.
Yeah.
Terry, I made revisions, with fresh eyes tomorrow morning, I'm gonna look to make sure I've got no typos in that I've been verified.
Living in 35 years in the Monroe, that was the best thing ever happened in my life. And in business, all over, most of the people I know, that was the best thing I heard from this village, this town. I love it here. I love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll update the rest, I just wanna go through, site check, make sure my sites are right, and date check, and I'll email you the final resolution.
Okay, Jesse, a little anxious over there?
Is this the Ramapo building again?
I am, yep. So, all right, so Jesse, you are back in front of us, and how do we want to start? Dave, does he have everything that you, I know you guys met, they came to see you.
Correct. Yeah, we haven't received anything since we had a meeting last week. We went through the stormwater pollution prevention plan comments. And, you know, I know David and Jesse had, you know, we're kind of throwing out ideas in terms of what they might be able to do to meet all the requirements for New York State DEC stormwater management. It's a difficult site. It's in a floodplain, there's wetlands, they've been trying to work within the previously approved wetland disturbance area that the Army Corps had permitted. But I think, you know, I had advised them that I think that it's gonna be very difficult to meet those stormwater requirements and stay within that footprint. David had talked about a couple things at the meeting. I don't know if he spoke to Jim Cox, but he was saying that he was going to talk with Jim about the possibility of putting parking underneath the building. There was also discussion about possibly changing the proposed use from office to something that might require less parking so they could reduce the footprint of the site. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything since we met last week. So,
David, let me ask you a question then. that means they're gonna raise this building up and have parking underneath?
Well, it doesn't mean anything yet.
One, that's an option,
Maybe.
it's a possible option. How high is this building gonna be?
Well, it would be subject to code, so the max height
You
is
know, 35?
30 feet, right?
30.
Yeah.
30.
I think it's 35.
So you've got you got two.
Why don't we ask
two
the
stories,
applicant?
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Two-story building plus parking.
Well, you know
underneath.
what, Joe, we may not even need to talk about this. I don't know what Jesse's, he might not even be thinking that.
So
Right.
the purpose, or at least from my perspective, the purpose of the meeting tonight is we had previously circulated our intent to, notice of intent to be lead agency. 30 days has elapsed, we have not received any objections. We did notify DEC, Terry confirmed we notified DEC. There was a question about that. So, today I have a very simple resolution to assume lead agency in light of the lack of objections. The other thing I have done in preparation for today is I have started a part 2, and we're gonna have a discussion on the part 2, which is where, this board as lead agency determines on various elements whether there will be a small impact, no to small impact, or moderate to large impact. That will then.
Or to the EAF.
That will then, if there are no impacts across the board, I'm sorry, Jesse, unfortunately, I can tell you that's not going to be the answer. We would move on to a negative declaration. That's not a list of what needs to be incorporated. The other path is, and I have one prepared, we adopt a positive declaration, and then we can set for scoping. That's the path that 208 took, which is a much bigger project. They scoped the project, and then the applicant would be required to prepare a draft environmental impact statement to address the various impacts. So that is what I'd like to accomplish for today, so that the applicant has the direction moving forward of what needs to be accomplished. So, if I may, the first resolution is really simple.
Well, before we do that, Liz, can we just ask Jesse, I don't know if you came here with anything else that you're thinking, anything you wanted to say before we do that?
Oh, Elizabeth really covered it. Yeah, we're just here to get the board's vote on lead. But yeah, we're still working through all the technical stuff.
Gotcha, okay, perfect.
Let me ask you my favorite question on this project. Army Corps of Engineers.
Actually, we did hear back from them, so we're just having a back and forth right now.
You have heard back from them?
Yes, yes.
Excellent.
So yeah, we're working that out.
But
They said to say hello, Joe.
I've been there. Okay, I've been there many times.
All right.
But they're gonna review it.
Yeah.
Okay, they're gonna review it with the actual plan that's
Right.
going to be approved.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay,
we're waiting on approval of that.
that's fine. That's good news for you guys.
Okay, Liz?
And I forgot to write the date, and I will correct the date. I believe it was our June 10th meeting, we declared our intent to be lead agency. But whereas the Village of Monroe Planning Board is considering action on a proposed site plan application submitted by 17M LLC for an office building and associated site improvements, SBL 220-4-1, and whereas by resolution dated, and I believe it's June 10th, I will confirm, the planning board declared its intent to be lead agency, and whereas more than 30 days has elapsed since notice of intent to be lead agency was circulated to all interested and involved agencies, and no objection to lead agency has been received. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby assumes lead agency for the purposes of seeker. May I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Member Heffendecker? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. And the second one?
So, the next one. So, both the short form and long form environmental assessment form, here we're dealing with the short form, have 3 parts. The first part is prepared by the applicant. The second part is prepared by us and goes through, it's called the impact assessment, and it asks us a series of questions to help us determine, is there going to be an impact, what those impacts are, so that we can make a determination. The third part is a determination of significance. If it has, you'll hear us say a negative declaration, no significance, or impacts of significance have been mitigated by the plan. So for example, on our last application, impact of car headlights on, they've mitigated that with
Right.
landscaping, okay? So we're really looking at impacts that are not mitigated, okay, when we make this. So I'll go through each of these questions, and bear with me, we'll stop at each one to have a brief discussion. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? I have checked no to small impact may occur. It is a permitted use in the zoning district in which it's proposed.
Right.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? And we have moderate to large impact may occur, particularly given the nature of the site. Will the proposed action impair the quality, the character or quality of existing community? Moderate to large impact may occur. Some of this is related to traffic as well as stormwater runoff and things like that. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? I check no simply because it's not in a critical environmental assessment area. Will the proposed...
But isn't it in a floodplain?
We're getting there. We're getting there. A critical environmental area is a specific designation by DEC. It does not have that designation. It has
So-
other designations. I'm getting there.
Do you, just offhand, Liz, can you name one or two things in that criteria?
I think the village, Greenwood Lake, I think, might be one of the critical environmental areas in Orange County.
Okay,
Orange Lake.
I see what you're saying
There's only
now.
a
I was
handful.
misunderstanding the,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah.
It's there are actually very few.
The only thing I was thinking when I saw is you have the cemetery, the
But that's
historical.
historic, that's different.
Right.
Critical is like,
I got you.
It's
Yeah,
a special designation that DEC
has.
gives to certain things, and I think there was only like 5 or 6 of them throughout the county.
and it also, it triggers a type 1.
Yep.
So it's something that's critical environmental assessment
Boom.
area.
Yeah,
goes
right up to it.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect the existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? I checked a moderate to large impact may occur. Yes, the applicant has prepared a traffic study, but certainly it's a driveway in a tough spot.
Yeah.
With respect to site distance, and we have the ambulance corps there, as well as this intersection, so it's a difficult
Did
site.
they get approval for the cut onto 17M?
Well, that's part of the
It's all
process.
part of what will have to happen.
Okay, because I thought,
Yeah. This is still, we're too early for that.
I
We
thought,
have actually talked through the DOT though and got sort of a preliminary site plan review, which they seemed okay with an entrance there.
really,
Yeah.
Okay.
because they did not give it to the ambulance corps.
I'm sure they have their reasons there too.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? I checked no there. Will the proposed action impact public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? I did check moderate to large. That may be no to small. I don't see a huge impact, but I listed it as moderate. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic archaeological, I'm tired, architectural or aesthetic resources? Say that 10 times fast. And I wrote moderate because of it is a historic district adjoining the cemetery. Will the proposed action result in adverse change to natural resources? It says e.g. wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora and fauna, and I checked with a yes for obvious reasons. Will the proposed action result in an increase for the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? I checked yes, or moderate to large. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? I said moderate to large based on the floodway, impacts to the floodway. Does anybody have any major disagreements with anything?
No, so far it sounds right.
Right. Okay. We're not doing the long form. So at this point, now that we've gone through this, this leads to the conclusion that yes, there is an impact. So you have, lucky duck, you have a choice. You can either ask for additional time to prepare an expanded EAF. As part of that, we will want the long form. We had previously granted a positive, we had previously issued a positive deck on a prior
On a different
iteration of the
project, yeah.
Yes. I would use that positive declaration as a basis framework for what should
Right,
be
it's all there.
included in an expanded EAF. That's option one. Okay, so long-form environmental assessment form plus everything, and use their POS deck, and I will provide that POS deck to you. That was from the prior project. The second option is adopt tonight, and I do have a resolution prepared, a positive declaration declaring that there is an adverse impact, and start the process for a DEI, a draft environmental impact statement. So, Mr. Shi, what is?
Yes, we would like to do the light EIS, of course.
So we're gonna do the expanded EAF. So the expanded EAF should include a long form environmental assessment form. And then going through, give me 1 second, I just have to pull this up the document. Going through the prior iteration of the positive declaration, the impacts that were identified. And some of this you've already done, and then you need to package it, okay, and make sure the package is complete. The proposed project has the potential to impact the intersection of Ramapo Street and the New York State Route 17M. The site access is proposed at the Y intersection between these two thoroughfares. The proximity of the proposed single access point to the existing Y intersection and the impact generated and the project generated traffic levels during peak hours require that a traffic impact study be prepared. That's already been done, that should be incorporated. The project development site includes the Ramapo River, which flows through the site and is designated sole source aquifer for 2 million downstream users. The proposed project will require physical alteration of areas within and adjacent to the Ramapo and its banks and associated floodplain and wetlands. The Ramapo River will be the receiving waters for stormwater discharges from the proposed paved parking areas and proposed structure. The 100 and 500-year floodplains of the Ramapo are proposed for filling to accommodate the proposed structure, and parking and Ramapo's floodway may be affected as well. The entire site is located within a New York Natural Heritage Program riparian buffer area for the Ramapo River. These are important streamside areas that influence stream dynamics and health, filter sediment and nutrients, and help attenuate flooding and provide numerous other stream functions that, when disturbed or eliminated, can lead to stream and habitat degradation. The Ramapo has already received a New York State Department of Environmental Conservation rating of low condition on its Stream Condition Index. The entire project site has been identified as a known important area for rare aquatic animals and state designated significant biodiversity area. The northern long-eared bat has been identified as a federal threatened species that may use the site as a foraging area. Consultation with Fish and Wildlife will be required. So we need a birds and bees study. The site is located adjacent to the village's 20-acre Monroe Racetrack Park. The proposed development raises issues that may impact residents' enjoyment of the park, such as noise, odors, and lighting. Consistency of the village with the comprehensive plan will require an assessment under seeker. The plan contains a policy that affects Route 17M. Goal T1, Objective 1 states allow for easier access to downtown from outlying areas and surrounding communities. Work within the state and county to provide innovative solutions that will improve vehicle traffic flow along Route 17M and into and out of the downtown while respecting pedestrians and cyclists. No accommodations have been included for pedestrians or cyclists. Other comprehensive plan policies will need to be addressed. Portions of the site contain New York State federal freshwater wetlands regulatory areas as well as federal jurisdictional wetlands. So those are both New York State DEC wetlands and Army Corps wetlands. The state wetland regulatory areas may be both directly or indirectly impacted from on-site construction activities and may require permits. The federal wetland areas are proposed for filling and will require federal permits and compensatory wetland creation. Now, some of that you've already done, but you're going to want to summarize that in the expanded EAF. The entire site has been identified on the state's environmental resource mapper as probable wetland area. The site adjoins the Village of Monroe National Register of Historic Places District. Actually, it's in the district. You are subject to historical review pursuant to Article 19 of the Village of Monroe zoning code.
And there's an application for that, Jesse, that has to be.
So I will email that to you. You should use that as a those are the issues that will need to be addressed in the document. If you were to use that as a basis for, to work your way towards a negative declaration, to mitigate and addressing those impacts. But that is the basis of the impacts that should be addressed in the document. SWIP will certainly be included in that, and am I missing anything that should be added to that?
I think they probably should provide the basis for the floodplain disturbance permit, but I think that's addressing the impact as it relates to the Ramapo River. Although they won't actually apply for or probably receive the permit from the building department at this stage, but I think we would want to at least see that that's, evaluate the impacts on the Ramapo River, and that's what you were going to need for that permit.
Yeah, we agree.
David, you see the diversion device that's there now? As it comes under the road, there's a diversion device.
That's on 330.
At the intersection, you mean? You mean at the intersection?
Right at the intersection.
So this is upstream.
I understand that,
Okay, yeah.
but the diversion pushes all the water onto his site.
You mean what's coming across from the other intersection? Yeah,
That's correct.
they have a culvert to capture that. I mean, that's part of the plan now, but that's probably going to change to some degree.
Okay.
Right? There's water, you're saying there's water that comes off site from underneath 17M onto their site and then
Yes.
ultimately goes to the river.
Yes.
They'll have to address that, yes.
So that's kind of the outline of the document that needs.
You
to
see
be-
that all the
Oh,
time.
yeah, it's right there.
That's the outline of the document, and of course, if there are changes, I think Dave's raised a very good point that much of your stormwater, right now you're using the maximum that you have been approved for the fill. You're right there, and if you need to make any room for stormwater, your plans are gonna have to change. So you should account for that in whatever document you prepare.
Did you speak with with Brian Orzel, or was it email correspondence?
David has been talking.
Okay. And is the premise that the disturbance to the wetland is going to be different than what was originally approved?
I believe so, so yeah, they're gonna wanna see it. He said.
Okay, so at this point, the applicant is going to step back. We will await future submissions.
Yep.
What I would strongly suggest to you is when you are ready with the expanded EAF, that it be presented as one document. Don't give us little pieces. This is gonna be one big submission, because if you give us little pieces, we lose the totality of the document. So, don't give it to us piecemeal. Please give it to us.
All right, anything from you, Jesse?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
And please make, when it comes, do the long form,
Yes, yeah.
okay?
excellent. All right,
Good.
looks like you got your work cut out.
Okay, thank you for your time, guys.
You betcha.
All right.
Take care now. We have meeting minutes to approve from 7/8 and 7/23. Do we have anybody who was not here that can't vote?
I was not here.
Yeah, I was in there for one of them,
No, I think so.
No, that's okay.
You missed like the 2 meetings ago, I think. I think you were
No,
here
this,
last
this,
time.
I wasn't here 2 weeks ago. I was not here 2
I mean,
weeks.
that's a legitimate.
It was a Monday. I wasn't here.
Is that the one where you had an emergency or something come up down in
I was on call. Yeah.
for your work?
Last one.
I was not here for the last one.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll probably send that
I
to
was July.
Oh, I'll every one of them.
I talked to
I went to engineering school, even though I didn't study engineering.
You can just auto draft.
Yeah, if you have the minutes.
Yeah, so you just put all you guys in the queue. Put all you guys in the queue, like pick, and rank them, and then if it comes up, it'll automatically put that guy right there.
I know nothing about this shit.
Hey Keith, did you get my golf invite?
Yes. Yeah, when is that again?
30th of September.
David's gotta tell him his garbage, but David hasn't told him that yet.
No, David
What are we
has.
talking about? You're talking about what?
David's gotta tell him that most of their
What
submittals.
happened
and Ellen were
John Carl?
absent.
I haven't used the term garbage, but I've told them that it clearly doesn't meet the requirements.
were absent when?
That honestly, I don't see
So-
how they could meet the requirement.
Fred and Keith, you can't vote on the 7-8 one.
From them should be.
Wait a minute, if I take 2 out, 1, 2, we still have 4, so that's all right. And then
17.
probably Paul was.
No, I think I was there.
Oh, you were? Oh, yeah, because that was,
Yeah, it was
That
only
was
just
2
2 weeks
meetings
ago,
back.
yeah.
them too? Same 2 weren't there. Did you miss 2
No,
meetings?
I was there for that. I came in late, I think.
Correct, yeah.
Maybe not, all right. I'll
And they
abstain.
still, like,
Have them both abstain and let's just do it. It's that simple. They don't know where they've been.
It's kind of nebulous.
It's not for us to check
You
them.
know, that it's not doing the landscape architect.
And if Fred said he was here, I'm sure he was.
Practices that only engineers can do to actually go through all that.
Now,
I'm saying
Paul,
it's very subjective.
that's another question.
Okay, so,
Only 2 weeks ago.
so, yeah, so, all right, so on 7-8, I think Fred was here last meeting, 7:23, weren't you?
The last meeting?
That's true.
No, 2 meetings ago.
2 meetings
End of
ago,
July.
We were talking to two.
It's both July
Talking to two
meetings, both
in
July meetings.
No, I think maybe I did miss both. 'Cause
It's both in July?
I think I was,
And you definitely missed both in July.
I had my anniversary beginning of July, and then I was on vacation at the end of it.
Is that when your wife came in looking for you, you left the kids home? Somewhere, didn't know hey, where's the kids? Yeah, we were like, we wanted to call for an update.
You in an apartment now?
We've all been.
No, I can tell you, they're still together, they were walking around, I see them.
Graduate degree.
Your wife walks in and you're just like,
But I'm saying,
So we need a motion for approval of the 7-8-24 meetings.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
And all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
And abstaining? Fred.
And
And Keith.
So Keith,
Fred and Keith abstain, Barbara's absent. So we just make it, it just passes.
Yes, you will. So good. That's why-
Okay, you good? You got that? Yeah. Okay. Need a motion to approve the 7-23-24 meeting?
I'll also make the motion.
Okay, Member Heffinger, and second.
Marilyn seconded.
I'll second it, okay.
Marilyn's on the board again.
I'm on there, everyone's.
So the roll.
All in favor? And same 2 abstentions. We need a motion to adjourn. And second?
Being he's here.
Okay, Marilyn's in twice. All in favor? And opposed?